Hello, how's everybody doing today? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about bullet journaling, and I've done one other video on this in the past, and I plan on doing more in the future. But today's video, I really wanted to hone in and focus on those people who said they just can't start a bullet journal because they're not creative enough, they're not artistic enough, they don't have enough time. That's a lie to yourself. You can do it, and I'm going to show you today, because a lot of people who are showing their bullet journals, and even mine, like, they do it a little more fancy, they like to add a little flair, and therefore people think that they just can't do it, and that's just not the truth. I actually really enjoy the minimalistic look to bullet journaling, even more so to like the fancy colorful things, just because sometimes that comes off tacky, especially if you don't do it right. So the minimalistic look is very simple, and even if you think one of the fonts that I'm doing you can't do yourself, just write it however you would normally write it. It's really that simple. You don't need to overthink it. Just some people find that enjoyable and they like to do that for themselves, but that is their own way of doing it. I think that you can use bullet journaling to your own advantage just as much as they can, and it's really just for self-reflection, self-growth, not really being a piece of art. So please don't think of it that way. This video is for those who feel that way, and I felt like this was the perfect time to film this video, as it is the middle of June, because we're about to hit that 6-month mark in 2020, and we're gonna hit July. So I set up a 6-month increment in the beginning of my bullet journal, and then we jumped right into July, and I'll show you, if you don't know what I mean, I'll show you in a minute. We're gonna get right into it. But this is a perfect time for you to start. I'll put a link in the description for the bullet journal that I use. So if you decide this is something that you want to take on and you can start right at that 6-month mark, this is the perfect time to do it, and you can do so. If you like this video, make sure you go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I post new videos. That being said, let's get into it. Alright, so this is going to be my 6-month bullet journal for 2020. I'm just going to write my name in the beginning because it's a brand new book. This is so fun to me. It's so exciting. Okay, so if you see me doing anything like this, I'm just mapping out the page, finding the center, where I want all the edges to be, and just blocking off where everything's going to go so that everything looks very neat and crisp. I'm doing a very simple design here, so it's not at all intimidating, but if you want to do a different design, by all means, go look on Pinterest. I encourage you to find your own style. There are so many minimalistic designs on Pinterest, so don't be discouraged from doing that. I am also going to write a key. This is how I reference all the tasks that I need to do on my to-do list. This is my own personal key, and there are other variations of keys that you can use. So feel free to take mine, but also feel free to look up others that work better for you. You're going to see me do this wreath design a lot. It's very simple. You're just going to take a ruler and draw a straight line across, and then just draw little diamond-shaped leaves. And it's very simple, so that's why I incorporated that a lot into this design, because if you think that's cute and you want to do it on your own, I'm pretty sure everybody can do this. On this next page is going to be my 6-month spread, a year at a glance, or 6 months at a glance, if you will. So I'm just going to divide that into 6 columns, and each column is going to be its own month. I'm going to draw a line across and write the name of each month at the top. And right underneath each month, I'm going to write the calendar days out. This gets a little tedious, but just hang in there. You're going to be writing a lot of numbers. So once you do the calendar days right underneath of that, down the column in each row, you're going to also write the calendar days down. And this way you can write down any events, any birthdays, any tasks specific to that day. So you have everything that's happening in the next 6 months right there on 2 pages, so you can look at it all at one time. This next page is going to be my 6-month goals, and I like to have this because I want to be able to reflect later on how I was able to achieve my goals or how I wasn't, where I can work harder. And I'm just going to ask myself some questions. I'm going to write down 10 goals that I have for the next 6 months, make sure that they're feasible. Then I'm going to ask myself, where do I see myself in 6 months? And then I'm going to ask myself, how am I going to get there? Because again, if it's a feasible goal and it can happen, you should have a plan for it. So Those are very important questions that I like to ask myself. This next page I'm going to split into 2 columns. The first column is going to be my favorites column, and that's where I'm just going to list things that I'm enjoying right now so that I can see over time how my tastes and preferences change. In this next column, I'm going to write my wish list, and I actually find this very helpful because if you've ever had somebody ask you what you want for your birthday, what you want for Christmas, and you haven't been able to tell them, but you know that you've wanted things over the past 6 months or year or so, you can keep track of all of that here. So you can just reference this and let them know, and your life has just become so much easier. My favorites column, I'm going to list TV shows that I like, food that I'm enjoying right now, and just activities. And I'm outlining them in this little border, which is super easy, by the way. If you want to do this, you just draw 3 little lines and connect them all so it makes a little shadow box, and then you can fill that in or shade in that shadow however you want. I just draw little lines or little dashes. So my bullet journal actually came with these little tabs, so I thought it'd be really convenient to be able to reference my 6-month spread whenever I wanted to, so I added a little tab there. This next page is going to be my time of the month tracker, if you will. So I'm just going to write each month across, and then I'm going to write each day of the month and little boxes corresponding to each month and day so that I can track however I need to. You can make a little key if you want. It's totally up to you. If you are interested in seeing more, just type in Shark Week in Pinterest and you'll get tons of different design options. But you know, it's nice to track. Again, I'm adding a little wreath design here because it's just so easy, guys. I'm telling you, and it's so cute. This next page is going to be my prayer tracker. So I'm going to keep track of monthly prayers that I have that are very heavy on my mind and on my heart, just because it's really cool to be able to look back in 6 months and see how God's blessed me and what prayers He's answered. I definitely want to encourage you guys to tailor your bullet journal to yourself. Things that I'm going to keep track of aren't necessarily things that you're going to keep track of. If you search in different things that you can track on a yearly or 6-month basis, you get tons of different options online. And I definitely think it's worth your while to find things that, you know, are affected over the months and over the years, and be able to track trends. It's a great way to be able to reflect and see self-growth and just anything that is specific to you, whether it be money, whether it be prayer, whether it be goals, you know, anything like that. You know, you can totally tailor this to whatever you want to track, guys. Seriously, it is all customizable, every aspect of it. I'm now going to jump right into July, and like I said, I tried to make this as simple as possible design wise. I didn't do any of the fancy calligraphy because I know that that gets intimidating, so everything that I did here is in print. It might be a little fancier print than I normally would just write down, but everything's print, so it's very achievable. So I'm just gonna write down the days of the month again like I did earlier here under July, and I just made a little box and I'm going to outline that box with my ruler. A tip, guys, if you are using a ruler, you might get ink on your ruler, so make sure you wipe it off before you get it on your hands or on the page because you do not want that. I also did these little corners like a picture frame and colored them in and made a little shadow box here. Super simple design, guys. Just do a diagonal down to the next box, and you don't even have to, you know, get out a protractor. It's super easy. This first spread is going to be just a July calendar. It's kind of hard to tell how to space out your blocks, and I just kind of guess at it. But to make it easier on you guys, each one of these squares is 6 by 6, and I started right at the bottom of the page and left a 2 block space on the left, and the center 2 columns, since they're right on the center of the book, I actually made them 6 down and 7 across each, so they're a little bit bigger. And as you can see, I already messed up the days of the week by writing Saturday first instead of Sunday, and you will quickly learn that this happens, and you just have to come up with creative ways to fix your mistakes. So I just cut some washi tape in half to make it a little thinner and put it across the top and rewrote my days of the week right across there. So now it looks cute. And you would never know that I messed up. And I like to write my monthly goals here too. So I'm just going to write 1, 2, 3. And those are things that I'm going to focus on more heavily this month. I always have my to-do list right in the beginning of my monthly spread because it is so important to me, and I always like to keep track of everything that needs to get done. And if something doesn't get done one month, I make sure that I transfer that over to the next month. So I'm not going to write any of them out right now, but again, you see that I'm doing this wreath design and it's so simple. This next page is going to be my Jesus time prayer page. This is just where I'm going to track that I'm spending time in the Bible and things that I want to pray for. So I'll write each day down in a little circle next to it, and I'll fill in that circle if I spent time in my Bible. And of course, the things to pray for as things come up, whether it be friends, family, my marriage, anything like that, I'm just going to write down in my things to pray for so I remember them when I sit down and pray. This next page is my healthy habits page, and this is a super easy design if you are looking for another simple design to do. It's just 3 little dots or 1 dot on each end of every word. And here I'm just going to write down on the left side all of the habits that I want to keep track of, and I'm going to write the days of the month across again. Like I said, you're going to be writing a lot of numbers, guys. Then you're just going to write a circle going across under every day and next to each habit so that you can fill in that circle should you complete it. I want to also make note here that you should not be beating yourself up if you do not fill these in every day. This is just a way for you to track where you're at and where you can grow, and to just be aware. So please don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect. There are months where I hardly fill in any of these circles, so I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the best at this. It's just a really good way to reflect on yourself. This last page is just going to be a reflection page. This is just where you want to ask yourself questions that you think are worthy of being asked. Just anything to bring awareness to where you're at right now. I'm going to be asking myself how I did on my goals, where can I improve, and what some of my favorite moments are and what I'm grateful for. Those are just questions that I really think pertain to me specifically because I'm very goal oriented and I want to be working towards accomplishing my goals. So that's what my reflection is going to be more geared towards. But definitely ask yourself whatever questions you think you need to be asking yourself. And that is my July spread, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, you can add whatever you want in here. If you feel like you want to, you could definitely add in a weekly spread. I just feel like I don't use that as much, and I definitely have gotten use out of that in the past, and maybe I will in the future, but right now I'm using a separate planner, so I don't need a weekly spread to track every day. But if that's something you think you need, go ahead and do so. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I plan on posting new videos on planning, organization, and being productive in general. More on this channel, so if you're interested in any of that, please stay tuned. I'd love to see you back here. Thanks.